Good evening, everybody, and welcome to That's Good Pasta, our weekly podcast about creepy pastas. And with me today is my co-host and producer and tech boy, and his name it would be.
Jared.
There you go. Um, Today we are discussing a kind of a deep creep pasta. Um, it's called "The Deepest Part of the Ocean Is Not Empty," and this was actually given to me by Jared. This was like back when we were still working in AV, right?
I think this was before when I was working
Was
at with Michael.
no. I'm talking about when you gave the story to me
Yeah, I think it was
because I,
back then.
I because I remember I was looking for like a scary story and I wanted something that was similar to Confessions of a Deep Sea Diver, and Jared kind of turned me on to this podcast called the No Sleep Podcast, and this was like this one. And I think another one was Holes, right? That you came up with.
Mm.
Um, And this one is kind of stuck with us for a little while. I like it a lot. What about you?
Yeah, I was gonna ask you. Do you remember one about ants like being inside of people?
Yeah, like it's crap. What is that one? I think that's a no sleep one. It's like he has like delusions of like sitting in his bed and he can't sleep because he keeps like feeling the ants all over him, right?
Something like that. I remember a lady, and she was in a
Is it a lady?
hospital, but I can't remember like the name, and I haven't been able to find it.
It's kind of weird when you like try to find a creepy pasta from like 5, 6 years ago. You're just like, it's like that one. But then you look up like the description and there's like 50 billion of them.
Yeah,
So
that's like what happened with this one.
but say, yeah, this one, it took us a while to find it because I gave you the wrong one, I think, right?
Yeah,
Sorry.
I don't think they even went under the water, and you're the one you found.
Did they not?
It was about a lady on a. They find a lady, and then they
What's
take.
with all these ladies and them finding people? Anyway, so this is called The Deepest Part of the Ocean Is Not Empty. I'm going to give a quick summary. It's because it starts on a submarine. Oh, there you go. Um, so over, or sorry, this group of scientists basically finds uh, a, what do they call it? The maw, I think is what they called it.
Mm-hmm.
It's basically this part in the ocean that's deeper than the Mariana Trench and the Challenger Deep. They said it's like 50,000 feet below the surface, which is kind of crazy to think about how deep that is. Um, and basically, they send this guy out in it's called the Tuscany, which I think is an odd name for a submersible, but whatever. He calls it my Pegasus, my Trojan horse, my very own Apollo 11. Um, sorry.
He gets
Uh,
passionate, Thomas. He gets
Yeah, he
passionate.
does. He does get some very passionate like descriptions of his submarine, which I think is funny because they don't really describe how the submarine is able to go 50,000 feet. Because I think the deepest we're able to go is not even into the Mariana Trench. I don't think, right? At least not submarines.
Not
They're like,
to the not to the deepest part of it or something like that.
yeah, because it's just the pressure from that just um but they don't really give a lot of descriptions on how it is, which this whole thing I think is very vague in its descriptions of how they're physically able to do this. But basically, they find this thing called the Higgins Maw, and they send this thing down, and he keeps going down, and he gives descriptions of like he sees schools of fish and sharks, and then apparently he encounters even giant squid, which that would be a thing in itself, apparently. Um, and around where is it? 44,000 feet is kind of when he sees the maw, which is like this vast void out on the ocean floor. And he's like, well, I think that I should just go in. And so he goes in, and then let's see if I can. There's also weaved within the story are these like little bits of poetry, which I think are funny. As calmly the wearied seamen rest beneath their ocean blue sea, the ocean solitudes at blessed, for there is purity. We're kind of hitting the schlock part, but I love it. So anyway, um, so he goes down there, and when he hits the maw, he comes across this massive thing, like just enormous mass of something there, and it's not friendly at all because the descriptions in this story is and apparently this thing has a massive mouth that also has tentacles and teeth attached to it, and he concludes that this is the Leviathan from, and I'm thinking the Leviathan from the Bible, right? That's what you got.
Yeah.
So this thing is absolutely enormous. Like mammoth squid would be apparently small to this thing. The blue whale would be like insignificant. This thing is basically Cthulhu, I think, is kind of what he's going for. And he quickly decides to get the F out of there and starts to ascend. Well, he looks around and the thing is climbing out of Higgins' maw. This massive sea monster is just climbing back or climbing out from it. And I mean, it's basically a run for his life. And the thing is just slowly trying to catch up to him because this thing is just so enormous. And like schools of fish are basically being like swept aside because of how big this thing is. And see if I can remember how it does it. It's like its jagged fins chucked up towards me and slice the open sea air itself because he like bursts out of the water and the current swept the submarine reeling backwards and off a bit further into relative safety. So it basically breaches the water and escapes the thing because I don't think it likes the surface. Um, and let's see. It all ends on there are things in the sea that hold ownership of the deep, and perhaps it is best to leave it that way for all of our sake. And then it ends with a quote: "The earth has guilt, the earth has care. Unquiet are its graves, but peaceful sleep is there beneath the dark blue waves." Nathaniel Hawthorne. So it's basically just a one up and down journey for a submarine pilot. I think it's like a tiny submersible. And, apparently he encounters the Leviathan of old and pretty much says, and he also just says that he will never deep sea dive again. There's a sequel story to this. I listened to it. Not great. It's just, it's basically like this hunter killer submarine that's trying to hunt the Leviathan, and it's just not very good. Um, but yeah, so Jared, what are your initial thoughts on this one?
I think it's like a lot of creepy pastas, like concepts from it. I'm not sure if I like all of the writing. I don't remember it as flowery as it is.
You don't remember all the poetry?
Yeah. Um, I kind of like Alex. My favorite parts of the Bible was always the Leviathan or the mention of it,
Yeah.
and then he describes down there like, oh, there's mountains down here, just like you would see on the surface, which I really liked.
I liked part of it, and I even made a note, is that he gave depth measurements and size comparisons based on like landmarks about like this is as big as Mount Everest, this is big as one of the skyscrapers or whatever. So it's very easy to figure in your mind what he's seeing out there.
Yeah, and I just like the thought of something huge down under there.
Do you have thalassophobia?
No.
Oh, because I do. I can't look at those pictures of of Sea Rex.
Oh yeah.
Like there's another phobia that goes along with that. I forgot what it's called. Nexpo has a really good video about
Yeah.
uh, thalassophobia and the other specific phobias that go with that one.
Mm-hmm.
But seeing like rusted Sea Rex and stuff with like growth on it, I can't stand to look at that stuff. I remember when my youngest brother had a Titanic book, and it has like the pictures of the Titanic as right now. And I
Mm-hmm.
would freak out. I can't stand looking at that stuff. I always think there's some because it's not just the thing that you see, it's the fact that it's surrounded by like blackness and you can't see what's beyond like your point of view. And so it
Yeah.
always freaks me out. Um
Really. I don't really have a like thalassophobia. It's just I think we talked about it once. The free divers and like the tight caves underwater.
Mhm.
That's just dumb to me. And then
Do you
um,
have some claustrophobia?
yeah,
Okay.
I can
You're
handle it
just
for
like,
a little bit, but after a while, like I couldn't be like in a tight space for like an hour.
yeah. So you're like my dad. He's afraid of heights and tight spaces. I'm just like, so just normalcy. That's what you can handle. Um, but yeah, I like this one a lot when, especially when you gave it to me, because I was in a specific mood for this type of creepy pasta. Even with its like kind of hokey writing, which I mean, it's a creepy pasta. I'm not going to be like oh my god, this is basically Cormac McCarthy. Um, but it's fun. It's a cool concept, and I
Yeah.
like the fact that he finds the Leviathan down there. Um, but yeah, it's a fun story. I really enjoy. I actually really enjoyed this rendition of it. I think more than the um No Sleep podcast version, which was this one is the Dark Simonium. Is that how you say it? Simonium.
I'm not sure.
S S
This
O M Nium. So,
this is the first time listening to it. Usually just listen to it on No Sleep.
mhm.
This guy reminded me of Mr. Creepypasta.
Yeah, I was gonna say the exact same thing. He has that same uh it's not uh the same like speech pattern as him.
Mm.
Um but yeah, this was a fun one. And I don't really recommend part 2. It was just not very good. But the first part I think was a lot of fun. Um
I think if we ever found like a space one, that would be fun.
I'm looking for a space one. There's one that I remember that's based off of a Junji Ito story. It's called like the Dark Star.
Mm.
I think it's what it's called, and it's a long one, but it was a really good one. Um, but yeah, this was a lot of fun. So this was a good find, and thank you for finding it because I've been looking for this one for a while.
Yeah.
So, but I had a good time listening to this one. I was at the gym, and I was just like, yeah,
Mm.
what's in the deep? So
It was raining today. I had my coffee, just looking out.
yeah, just like looking out onto the all the wetness out there, and
Yeah.
just like, yeah, it's a good one.
The sea
I didn't have any
calls me.
coffee though. I didn't have any coffee though. I was so sad.
Yeah.
I'm so sorry, Jared. I failed
You
you.
failed this podcast or show.
For democracy. Um, yeah. So I think that's about it. What do you think?
Yeah. Do you have one in mind for next time?
I do have one in mind. I need to actually nail it down. Um, I'm not gonna lie. If I can find the one I'm looking for, it's probably gonna be our most cringiest podcast, our uh, creepy pasta that we've done. But I think we'll have some fun with it.
It's
So,
Jeff the Killer.
oh God, no, we should probably do it at some point, but I don't want to do that one because that writing has not aged well at all.
Yeah.
So,
What do you think
but
about doing some like old YouTube videos?
that'd be fun. I was thinking about some backroom stuff, like some of the analog ones,
Hmm.
um, especially the analog stuff. But yeah, we could probably do some of those. If you guys have a suggestion, please leave one because we don't want to do Jeff the Killer. I
And
don't
if you want to
do
hear us read one, let us know.
but not Jeff the Killer, please.
Now they're gonna do it,
No,
and now you have to be
please.
Jeff.
No, I don't want to be a 14-year-old emo. I was already one.
You still are.
Shut up. All right. Well, I think that's about it for today. So I'm gonna say goodbye, everybody. Good night, and stay
Restock your
creepy out there.
coffee. Restock your coffee. Unlike
Bye.
Thomas. Bye.